So we got Sheol, which is the Hebrew name for the place of the dead. In the New Testament, it's referred to as Hades, because that's the Greek word for the place of the dead. And there are two types of people that are in Sheol. You've got mankind and you've got unclean spirits. It's a temporary holding place for them. Now, on the side of mankind, you've got two halves. You've got Abraham's bosom, and you get that title from the account of Lazarus and the rich man, but it's also referred to as paradise. Remember when Jesus was on the cross and he spoke to the robber who said, "Remember me when you come into kingdom." What did he say? "Today you'll be with me in paradise." So that's the place where in the Old Testament, if you had believed in God, then you would go to Sheol and you'd be in Abraham's bosom. Holding place for the believers. But if you died in the times of the Old Testament and you didn't believe in God, if you hadn't put your faith in the things of God, then you would be held in another chamber, the place of torments. There's many more verses I could give you and a much greater Bible study to explain this in more detail, but I'm just trying to go through it briefly here. Salvation is always by grace through faith. But Jesus Christ had not come and paid the price for people's sin, and so they couldn't go to heaven at that point because they did not have the righteousness of Jesus. So they were held in place of paradise, Abraham's bosom, but if you're an unbeliever, in torments. Now, on the other side of Sheol, you would have a place for unclean spirits. One chamber was called Tartarus, the other is called the abyss, or depending upon your translation, the bottomless pit. Tartarus is a place where those evil spirits that sinned in the time of Noah are held permanently until the day of judgment. These are the ones that we read about in Genesis 6, who interbred with the women of the earth. But the bottomless pit is more of a temporary holding place. We see unclean spirits come out of the bottomless pit during the various plagues that come upon the earth during the tribulation spoken of in Revelation. And we also know that during the 1,000-year reign of Jesus Christ, the Satan devil is bound temporarily in the abyss, the bottomless pit, until the end of that millennial reign of Jesus Christ, when he's released for a short period of time and he deceives mankind. So there we go. That's Sheol. And we've also heard about two other places, heaven and the lake of fire. Now, when Jesus Christ had died for mankind, paid the price for their sin, these now became blood-bought saints. They didn't need to stay in Abraham's bosom any longer. And we read in Ephesians 4 how Jesus Christ led captivity captive. He went down to Sheol, he proclaimed a victory, and he took people from Sheol and transferred them to heaven. Those Old Testament saints are now in heaven. And when you and I die, if we put our faith in Jesus Christ, we will go to heaven. Abraham's bosom effectively, or that part of Sheol, is now empty. Now we also read about the lake of fire. That is the ultimate place of judgment. At the end of the 1,000-year reign of Jesus Christ, there will be the great white throne judgment, and every unbeliever will come before that throne, will be judged according to their sin, and then they'll be given a degree of punishment, and they'll be taken from torments to the lake of fire. And then eventually the devil and his angels will also be judged, and they will end in the lake of fire. The last thing to be judged, the Bible says, the last thing to be cast into the lake of fire is death and Hades. It says in Revelation, death and Hades will also be cast into the lake of fire, and so that will cease to exist as is now.